Okay, if you're a nursing grad, you know this feeling deep in your bones. The NCLEX. It's like the final boss after a 4-year-long video game. But what if the secret to winning wasn't just grinding for more hours, but having a smarter system? Well, today, we're going to dive into a strategy that was literally reverse engineered from people who have already beaten the game.
I mean, this just hits home, right? You've survived all the clinicals, you've passed the classes, but this one exam, it feels like a totally different beast. That anxiety is so real, and you know what? It's a feeling that connects pretty much every single nursing student out there.
And that's exactly what we're here to do. We're going to break down a framework that wasn't cooked up in a lab. It was built from the real-world success stories of people just like you. The whole goal here is to help you shift your mindset from total panic to, okay, I'm ready for this.
So let's be real, this probably looks familiar. On one side, you've got the 2 a.m. doom scrolling on Reddit, the sinking feeling when you see a low practice score. And on the other side, that's the dream, right? Celebrating with your family, walking out of that test center feeling like you nailed it. This whole explainer is about how we build a bridge from here to there.
All right, first things first, let's diagnose the problem. Why is this one exam so incredibly stressful? It really boils down to one powerful word: overwhelm.
And that feeling of being overwhelmed, it doesn't come out of nowhere. This analysis of successful test takers points to some really common culprits. You've got the money stress from dropping hundreds on different Q banks, the whiplash from getting conflicting advice on YouTube, the panic about the new NGN case studies, and maybe worst of all, that constant nagging guilt that you're just not studying enough. It's a perfect storm for anxiety.
So all that pressure, it leads a lot of students down a really common path, a path of what the source material calls prep mistakes. Your first instinct is to just do more of everything, right? But what if that's actually the totally wrong move?
And here are some of those traps. You see the big, expensive prep courses that feel like you're trying to drink from a fire hose. Or maybe it's relying on random Quizlet sets that might not even be accurate. The huge takeaway from this whole analysis is that just having a massive pile of study materials does not mean you're studying effectively.
And listen to this. This quote from a Redditor just captures that frustration perfectly. This person did what they were supposed to do, they used the recommended tool, and it ended up confusing them more, and they failed. It's such a powerful reminder that sometimes the official way isn't the best way for everyone.
Okay, so if the common methods have all these pitfalls, what's the alternative? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. This brings us to the big discovery, a strategy that wasn't dreamed up in a boardroom, but was crowdsourced from the very community of people taking the test.
So instead of just listening to what the big companies are selling, this approach started by looking at what actually works. Someone literally went through over 100 of those "I passed" posts you see on Reddit, the ones where people are so excited. And by breaking them down, a pattern started to show up. This isn't guesswork. It's based on real-world data from people who succeeded. And at the heart of this whole thing is a concept they call strategic resource stacking. It's basically the exact opposite of that more is more panic we talked about. The idea is to intentionally limit yourself to just one, maybe two top-tier resources. Why? Because it forces you to go deep and actually master a system, instead of just scratching the surface of 5 different ones and getting totally confused.
And here's a perfect example of it in action. You can see this person was trying to do it all. UWorld, Archer, Klimek, and they just got burned out. It was too much. But the second they simplified their strategy down to just 2 of them, damn, everything clicked. It is all about focus over sheer quantity. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the system. What does this focused, less is more approach actually look like day to day?
What's great is that the system is actually really simple. It's a 2-part punch. First, you learn how to think. Use something like Klimek's lectures, not to cram facts, but to learn the logic, the strategy of how to break down an NCLEX question. Then, part 2, you practice how to apply that thinking. You take that new framework and just drill it over and over again in one single, really good question bank. Learn the logic, then drill the application. That's it.
The phrase that really jumps out to me in this quote is "helped me get out of my own way." I think that is so important. It shows that the value wasn't just in the information, it was in changing the process. It's about breaking that cycle of second-guessing and overthinking that just kills your confidence on exam day. Now, on top of that core duo, the analysis also found a bunch of awesome and free supplemental resources. Now, these aren't meant to be your main study plan. Think of them more like a toolkit for specific problems. You've got YouTube for tricky practice questions, Quizlet for when you have 5 minutes to spare, and free trials to get your hands on the new next-gen case studies without having to buy a whole new program.
All right, so when you put this all together, what's the big takeaway? It's not just about what resources you buy. It really comes down to 5 essential skills, 5 mindsets that seem to separate the people who walk out of the test feeling confident from those who walk out feeling defeated.
And here they are. It really all comes down to your approach. Are you decoding the logic of the question, or just overthinking the textbook? Are you stacking 1 or 2 key resources, or burning out with 5? Are you using small pockets of time to micro-study, or do you think you need these giant 4-hour blocks to be productive? It's about building real confidence with the NGN format. And my favorite, anxiety alchemy, turning that panic into fuel instead of letting it convince you you're failing.
And this is the big idea that ties it all together. It's not just about what you study, it's all about how you study. You can know every fact in the Saunders book, but if your strategy is broken, you're just going to burn out. The most crucial takeaway is this: a better system will beat more studying every single time.
I absolutely love this last quote. It completely reframes the goal. Your RN license, it's not some far-off, scary dream. It's a system. It's something you can build, something you can execute, and the license is just the natural result of running that system well.
So that leaves us with one last question for you to think about. As you're getting ready for what is probably the biggest exam of your life so far, maybe the question you should be asking yourself isn't, have I studied enough, but instead, is my system actually built for success?